everybody, and welcome back to the LCS, where we are lucky enough to be joined by Inero after that Cloud9 versus Golden Guardians game. Now, obviously, the game didn't go your way, but we were talking just a moment ago off camera, and I thought it would be kind of a fun exercise to essentially walk through a little bit about what your and the team thinking was from the draft into the game, you know, following the paths of what maybe an ideal execution in game would have looked like, you know, compared to what we did ultimately witness. So as the draft comes up, to the degree that you're able to share with us, you know, thoughts ahead of it, help us out.
So they first picked Hecarim. Cloud9's been doing that. They did the 3 games of first pick Hecarim last week. They had 3 blue side games. So kind of expected that to come out. We end up with Ezreal Karma, pretty strong level 1 to look to invade. And then we also have a Graves at the last part of the draft. So we have a pretty good way to kind of invade both sides of the map to kind of put Hecarim behind early. Because if you just let him farm out the game, he's going to kind of just run it over. Like, he scales pretty well, and it'll be a nuisance. So you could see that in the game, like, FLICKR is invading top side while we're invading bot side, taking his red. We had opportunity to kind of stall them from coming into our bot side too, but we kind of flub around that with vision and just how I reacted to it. But yeah, there was a plan to punish that early and get a lead, which our champions are going to kind of want to go into the game early with a lead outside of Victor, and just failed to execute that.
I mean, to me, that's a cool kind of marrying of an idea of the ideas of, like, all right, obviously you're taking evidence from a team's most recent games, but then targeting something very specific and building a game plan around that from the beginning. When you look at this Cloud9 roster, obviously Blabber is a known threat, right? From years now on Cloud9, but they've had these 2 new additions in Summit and Berserker. Just kind of from your position, how do you evaluate these 2 players and what they've maybe added to the lineup alongside a player like Blabber?
Summit and Berserker are definitely threats. I mean, obviously Summit ends up pretty ahead this game. If you look at the 1v1, it's a little unfortunate, but Eric almost had him there, and then he ends up taking the extra Q damage that he was trying to flash. No, those guys are insanely good players overall, so they're definitely threats. C9's definitely a top team. They have good talent, just kind of like across the board, you know?
One of the things that's really impressed me about your team week to week is that we've been able to see, like, visible improvement and stuff that you've been working on from game to game. So in looking at C9, what did you identify that you wanted to target, even outside of draft, just as a team generally, and what were you working on with the Golden Guardians to go into this matchup?
So we've still been pretty focused on ourselves in practice, because we had a lot of stuff clearly, you know, mid and late game. Like that stayed like a pretty clear focus for us. But something we definitely came in with the mindset of, especially for Eric, because we didn't want to shy away from Summit and like challenging that. We didn't want to accept like, oh, top is just going to be like lost, you know? Like, we just give this up, try to negate it and play somewhere else. We still wanted to play to like look to punish that and give Eric the opportunity to, which I'm glad he still like looked for. Even though it didn't come out successful, like I'm more happy he's targeting that and trying to, you know, play the game versus our opponent and not just roll over and try to play towards something else in the game.
Yeah, and taking a step back from this game in particular, something that has kind of been standoutish is that, you know, team goal difference at 15, like consistently you guys have been, like you guys at the top of the league in terms of creating advantages in the early game. And even hearing about your earlier answer just about the fact that you have had a very specific early game strategy, and you have just a team of player coaches. I know Stixay is coming back into the roster to be able to like help out with that and help out with the early game, or at least like laning phase for specific players. Like, how has that been so far? And also, I guess hearing you guys are now starting to focus more on like the mid and late game and being able to close games. Can you speak on that a little bit more?
Having all the positional coaches, like these guys are doing a phenomenal job across the board. Like, they've been doing just a lot of work to keep everyone accountable for things that they're doing. I've been like super happy with it. I know the players as well are like really happy having that direct feedback constantly. So it's not like splitting time in team review where like I have to cover like all these things, which is, it's like impossible to actually give enough feedback to everyone doing it that way and be fair about it. That part's been great overall. It makes it a lot easier to focus on just different sections of the game where it's like, hey, this is just team review time. We're gonna look at this together, and this is time where like, yo, you look with your coach and like, cover everything at once.
In going to every season, whenever I've talked to you, like before a season or in season, I feel like people really underestimate the teams that you've had, and then you end up proving people wrong. So what I wanted to know is, in scouting players, like whether they're new players, whether they're, you know, players from overseas, what do you look for players for your teams?
First, like I want to say on that, on the underestimating part, I really think that's a lot of it. I get a lot of credit occasionally, just like as a coach, like, oh, it's me like building this up. I think a lot of it comes to the staff like together working. Like I think our assistant coaches are really, really knowledgeable and helpful for everything. And then the players are generally just extremely underrated overall, and they're actually a lot better than they necessarily get credit for. And they just end up showing it through the year. And that kind of ends up turning into why the results end up better than people expect. And I definitely don't want to be the person taking credit for that. I don't think that's just me. I'm sorry, what was the second part?
What do you look for when you're scouting these players?
Yeah, looking for scouting. I honestly just want people who are aggressive players. I know it's kind of like a meme, like aggressive versus passive. Like aggressive just means you're like a good player. Like you know windows where you're actually able to punish and fight and you're willing to take them. You're not just trying to like survive lane, be even, and just like climb games in solo queue. You're actively looking to punish and have a reason and intent behind everything you're doing. Because you can climb without necessarily doing that. You
Play
can play
Yuumi.
like safe and be
Play
like,
Yuumi,
okay.
don't die. You'll climb, I promise
Let's go.
That's the Inero special.
Dude, I don't know, man. Season 11, 28% win rate Yuumi. I don't know if you can say it. That was not my season.
Oh, Lordy. On the topic of results, before we turn our attention to the next game, 5-4 was the record going through the first round robin. Now 5-5. In an interview with Travis Gafford, though, looking at that 5-4, you said 6-3 on the back half. You know, or I should be fired. More than anything, I just wanted to talk to you about the journey that you've taken with Golden Guardians, because this is from the outside of the organization. You know, if we were to chart it, relatively up and to the right, but very incremental, with your best performances being 5th in the regular season twice at 9-9 records. Based on the math that you just threw in front of us, that would be 11-7. So already surpassing that by 2, likely a 5th or higher, you know, place in the LCS. What about this squad what about these players, this squad, this split makes you think that you guys are capable of what you haven't done yet?
Yeah. First off, that's kind of a meme answer to Travis.
I get it.
Like,
yeah.
Hey, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna do better? It's like, no, we're gonna do
Yeah, we're
worse.
gonna do worse. Yeah.
But no, like I think our guys across the board are individually very talented. I really think it's just on us as coaches to get them together. And like I said before, I'm really confident in our staff and our ability to keep pushing these guys ahead. Yeah, I'm just confident with, you know, where the teams are at. I think it's TL and C9 are the like real good
Front
top
runners.
teams. They're the ones definitely to worry about. But outside of that, I think a lot of the teams have a lot of holes and weaknesses that we can abuse and catch up and punish. So yeah, I'm just confident we'll be able to take wins against
Sweet.
any of the teams.
I look forward to the following 8 games. Now, it's good to have you on the desk to help break down that game, but also because we're going to be bringing in Jatt here as we turn our attention to the final game of the day. Are you familiar with the game Jatt stats?
I am familiar with that.
I hope so. Get ready. You're about to feel the
Yeah.
pain that we have felt many times before.
Production found a picture of the first
God.
Jatt stats. It wasn't the game show version, though. This was actually just me on PTL.
Just giving stats.
Running through a bunch of stats.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
It
glad
got
we
way
gamified
better
it.
when we made
Yeah.
the game show. Yeah. So
All right.
I got 2 questions. So this jungler, minus 6.3 CSD at 15, and only 10.8% of his team's damage, which is the lowest in both roles in the LCS. Who is that jungler?
This split?
This split. 10% of their team's damage, and behind in CS at 15.
It's Contractz.
Yeah, that was also going to be my guess. Well,
Is it?
the 10%, the 10.8% damage percent.
That feels too low for the kind of player that Contractz
exactly.
is, right? But
I'll go River. Actually,
he's not playing Diana like he was in summer.
No.
That's
Why do you think it's a CLG or Dig player?
Because that's the
Because
next
that's
game,
the next
Jatt.
Wait,
I mean, I just said in the LCS. It could be. Okay,
I know.
Emily
what you
says
said.
River.
Yeah.
I actually think it could be River because of how
Okay.
he was playing
Yeah.
like Jarvan.
A lot of Jarvan.
Everyone's River now.
No, I'm still on Contractz.
I'm going River.
Okay, Dash is wrong. It's River.
Damn it!
Yes!
Everyone's on this
Look,
River hype
good-
train.
Of course,
He hasn't
the
been
first
performing
Jatt
super well.
stats since you come back, and I'm
Yeah.
the only one.
I'll
who's
say
wrong.
the caveat is
Realize that?
even
That's
when
so
he was doing
frustrating.
well,
Yeah.
That's so
he
frustrating.
punted CS
True.
to go to lanes. To
Yeah.
I don't think you can say he's not doing well just because he has lower CS. Like he's
There
playing
we go.
Jarvan Poppy, you know? Like
Yeah.
That's
if
the
he's
correct
playing a
answer.
full clear Jarvan
Forgot
every
about
time,
the
like
Poppy game.
Yeah.
don't play Jarvan.
Yeah, exactly. And also he still carries games with huge damage in champ queues, so it's not like he's not capable. He just hasn't
Right.
done it on
Yeah.
stage. Next question. We
Okay.
only have 2. This one I'm giving away. It's within this game. So a
Good giveaway.
a stat called team proximity, which is like jungle proximity, but it counts for literally anyone on the team within 2,000 units between 3 and 50 minutes. So someone in this game has a team prox of 6.2%. like the biggest island player
one
ever.
of the 2 top laners.
Who is that
I
player?
think it's Jenkins.
It's one of the 2
That
top
was
I
laners.
think it's
Yeah.
Jenkins. That man's on a side lane constantly. I feel like
Yeah, and yeah.
Graves,
yeah.
Camille, like it has to be.
He also
GP.
played. He also played into that smite top.
Yeah,
thing,
it's
so I'm
got to
gonna
be
go
Jenkins. It's got to be
Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Okay.
Yep. What are you thinking?
No, I think it has to be Jenkins. It's
Yeah.
not a support. It's not
Yeah.
an AD carry. It's probably not a mid laner. So it's top or jungle.
Yeah.
Probably not jungle.
Yeah, so it's
I'll
one of the
take
2
the
top
dub.
laners, and I think between the 2, Jenkins makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that. That's why I put it in there. It's not Jenkins.
What?
It's
No!
FakeGod.
FakeGod.
It's FakeGod.
Ah!
He just gets completely abandoned.
Wow.
Thank you for renewing my hate
Are you
for this
confused?
game.
Yeah.
Jenkins is also
You're
really low.
confused. I'm confused.
Oh, we had to go with the best
Yeah.
We had
just because
to.
I'm here.
That's it. That's all I got.
For the record, I'm a much bigger fan of Jeopardash than I am of Jatt stats.
It didn't catch on for some reason.
Yeah, I
I don't know why.
For whatever reason, they didn't ask me to bring that one back. Inero, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for enduring that nonsense with us. Look forward to the rest of the split for you and your squad. With that, though, we're back over to Flowers and Mark to close out the day.
Thank you, Dash, and of course you like that show better. Your name's in it.
Any content that features Dash the most, that's his favorite content. It's very easy to figure out what he's gonna like watching.
Some of my favorite content too. We all love a little.
That's
bit
true.
of Dash
He's
content.
pretty good. He's
But
okay.
Dash is not playing in the next game. No, sir. Instead, we have our final game of the day coming up here. Last game, we got to see Cloud9 run a pretty tight ship. They were ahead despite Golden Guardian's best efforts. They were just keeping things rolling and never felt like they were losing their place. And now Dig and CLG, 2 teams that can both look at this game as, hey, this is a winnable one. Let's see if we can climb up the standings a little bit on it.
I think for Counter Logic Gaming as well, they're coming with a 2-game win streak off of the Super Week, which was potentially, a turning point for their season. They were really struggling for the first round robin, but they pick up a couple of wins there. And you saw glimpses of, I think, what a lot of people were excited about when this roster was put together. Contractz can be in a very aggressive jungler. You can make a lot of plays happen. Their bot lane can also pop off, and they also have some playmaking in their side lanes. So, it's a very cohesive unit when things work well. They were just struggling to all get on the same page, but hopefully that's some momentum. It's a changing point in their season, and they can carry that forward here against Dignitas, who hasn't looked great recently, to be fair.
Well, let's see what the bans look like. Red side, first 2 bans. I'll give you a wild guess what 2 champions those first 2 bans are.
J4 Tom Ken.
Well, we got J4 Tom Kencho on the blue side, but on the red side, it's
Oh,
gotta
sorry,
be
sorry. I thought you
Derek. I was setting up my let's poke fun at red side of always having to ban the same 2 champions, but we've got those banned away. Zeri and Gwen off the board. J4, Tom Kench, Karma from CLG, and Rise. We saw this one banned on blue side in the previous game, going to be banned on red here in this one. Has been rising in popularity recently. He's one of those top tier mid picks now. We've kind of moved away from Victor and Corki or bust. So let's see though, if we're talking about stuff that's busted right now, Hecarim is topping the table.
Yeah, it feels like just underneath that S+ tier category where those kinds of Gwens and things get banned out. Hecarim does end up on the ban table quite a bit himself as well, but he's also a champion that once all that other stuff is taken out, a lot of teams are defaulting to take early on. Scales decently well, has some early game pressure, can be a team fighter, kind of does everything decently well.
I feel like that's where if you're someone who mains a champion, if you're someone who enjoys playing a champion a lot, you much prefer it to be at the Hecarim power level as opposed to the Zeri power level.
Because you're not staying there.
If it's at the Zeri power level, you just literally don't get to play it. It might as well not be in the game because it's always banned. But Hecarim, he makes it through frequently enough. Over on the other side, Caitlyn locked in with pick of AD carries not named Barry. Dignitas chose Caitlyn over something like a Jinx, like an Aphelios. We also have the Volibear picked as the jungle matchup against the Hecarim.
Interesting to see. Dignitas are really sticking to their guns of what their playstyle and identity is. It's bot lane pressure and dives. And, River sets up a huge camp. We've been talking about this for weeks now, and Dignitas is continuing to do it. Even after the priority on Caitlyn Lux has really fallen off, a lot of people prefer some of the more scaling-oriented picks that are going to be relevant throughout the entire game. Even if things don't go great for you at the beginning, Caitlyn is a pick that if the enemy team throws a wrench in your early shove game plan, she can really fall behind the pace of the game and end up feeling useless, just shooting Hecarim for 20 auto damage auto and auto attack. It's terrible.
Well, we get the Jinx that has been very popular and very much banned as well for the side of CLG, and we've got the Lulu next to it. I really like this Lulu pick because not only can she reinforce a hyper carry like a Jinx, but she can also do an amazing job at supporting an initiator like Hecarim. Dignitas locks in the Lux next to the Caitlyn.
What week is it? This is their same drafts from lock-in tournament that both these teams were kind of doing. It's like, okay, it's not the J4, it's the Volibear, but it's the same identities for these teams. Luger and Poome in lock-in were incredible. They were 2v2ing, killing a lot of lanes, and last week was a bit of a return to that. They were popping off again, and that combined with when Contractz is playing well. Contractz has died a lot, but he's also near the top of the table. It kills and assists at 15, which means he's still making plays happen. It's just often coming with too much of a downside. But if you can eliminate some of those mistakes that he's making while keeping that proactivity on the Hecarim pick, like, this is all the components they need to find more wins.
Camille will be the first ban from Dignitas heading into the second half of this draft. Remember, this is very much like last time where we get to see bottom lanes and junglers locked in, so everything's going to be about solo lanes here in part number 2. Camille banned away, obviously targeted towards that top side, towards Jenkins. We've got LeBlanc banned out by CLG. They don't want to have to suffer that in the mid lane matchup. What are you planning here, Mark? What are you thinking? What's this smell like?
It's interesting to me because neither of these are super high priority picks to how the enemy team likes to play a ton. We did see Camille Galio from CLG last week, and so this might be a bit of a target at that. Yeah, if you get rid of the Camille, they're not going to play the Galio. Plus, you know, there's some matchups like a Gnar that you don't really want to have the Camille up for, so it's a bit of a safety ban there, whereas the LeBlanc, I think, is just, Blue has played it a little bit. Sometimes he does play champions that have some pick-off potential. He likes things like the Zoe, like the LeBlanc, Ari as well, things that can kind of call its own number and make a play, and they're just targeting some of those that they want to get rid of. I expect, you know, with FakeGod to be playing weak side, Blue to probably be the one to get counterpicked. You know, you can always kind of tell which team on red side who's going to get the resources. Poor FakeGod, it's almost never him.
Well, Silas is banned out by CLG, Tryndamere from Dig, so both of these bans from Dignitas are split push capable champions, so that'll be denied a little bit, knocked down a couple of pegs. Let's see which one they want to blind with here.
Corki Victor's up, baby.
Yeah, we could do the Corki Victor trade.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Lock-in world where those two champions were the entirety of mid lane. What will it be instead? Okay, we're gonna get the blind Graves.
Okay, blind Graves, fair enough. I was incorrect about the mid lane thing. Actually, no, I did say it would be mid lane counter pick for Dignitas. Excuse me. I said I'm still right.
You got this.
This is interesting. The Kennen is a potential. It's something that's been Jenkins. One trick that he kind of exploded onto the amateur and academy scene with. He was really good at that champion. There's also some buffs that are coming in. I believe it was this patch. It might have been 12.4. Or 12.5, excuse me. But I'm pretty sure it's 12.4. And that's a range matchup that can play into the Graves. We'll see if he ends up going with it. But no surprise, assistance for the Hecarim. They want a very fast pony. They already got Whimsy on him. Now he's going to get sped up.
Lambo Pony.
Throw some bombs on him.
We've got some pretty incredible speed ups for the side of CLG, and the Kennen does get locked in for Jenkins in the top lane too. Dignitas, what are we going to take into that Zilean matchup here early? Do they want to try to punish Zilean's early laning phase, or do they just want to pick something that can scale and not be pressured by him? Corki's the choice.
Corki's the choice. Just want to scale alongside, like you said. And this makes the Silas ban feel a lot better for the side of CLG. I think the Hecarim takeaway already being there, the fact that you're going to take Kennen and then Zilean, like, my God, you do not want to last pick Silas there. So that was a really heads-up ban by CLG that really enabled the second phase there, and it just forced Dig to, yeah, they get counterpick with the Corki, but it doesn't really do anything into the Zilean. It just kind of scales, like you said, alongside of it. So that was some really heads-up bans by CLG there to set them up. Now they have this really insane team fight comp, but Dignitas wants to run over the early game with some bot dives, their MO.
Exactly. Dignitas, they got the power in the bottom lane, but it'll be CLG with that big team fight combo.
They give us love. They give us joy. They give us lessons in sharing. So give them some love back. And what says love better than something you can chew on? Use your MasterCard to make secure purchases from anywhere. So your gift will end up in the right hands. Or mouth. Because being there for each other is priceless.
So I want to ask you a question framed in the context of the previous game here. Because when I'm looking at CLG, I'm seeing Kennen, I'm seeing Hecarim, I'm seeing double supportive speed-up champions to get them in there and have them do what they want to get done in terms of that engage with Jinx being able to reset and follow up. Over on the other side, it's sort of similar to what we saw last time where you talked about how, hey, Ezreal and Karma want to be able to get there first and set up. Caitlyn wants to be able to get there first and set up. Corki needs to be able to poke. Is this doomed for Dignitas if they fall behind early? Because it definitely looks troubling.
Yes, asterisk.
Just asterisk. Okay, please explain the asterisk.
Obviously, if Caitlyn falls behind, it feels really, really terrible. But you do have effectively triple marksman with a front line in the Volibear as well, and some utility potentially in the Lux. And it's one of these games where, like, if you go like hyper late game, like 6-item everyone, like, yeah,
You got 3 cannons.
You got 3 cannons. At the same time, Kennen also has a lot of damage. It's not like CLG falls off, but there'll become a point in the game where you just have. It's just like everyone's got guns and you're just staring each other down. It's like whoever like gets hit first dies. Like if you fail, they have an advantage in the early game. Should that fail, you're basically like, I hope we win at 6 items. Because I think from the mid to late game, the CLG comp's just gonna have so many tools to work with, and just the amount of engage they have, the amount of utility, AoE potential with the Kennen as well. Like it's very CLG sided if the early game plan doesn't go correctly. But here you see again the same idea. You have priority in both your lanes a little bit early on, and you can try and abuse that to harass on this blue start for the Hecarim.
Yep, FakeGod just moving up here to harass these guys, hassle them as much as he can. He'll put like 1 auto attack into Contractz, but he also auto attacked the blue buff once trying to shoot Contractz, so he saved him an extra hit from the golem. I don't know how that equalizes out with the math, but it's got to be pretty close. Either way, FakeGod's back up into the lane now. Jenkins on that trademark Kennen, like you were talking about, again, back in the day when this guy was kind of first getting known, getting his name out there, building up the reputation. He was a known Kennen player. He's very, very familiar with this champion and what it can do, so I'm excited to see him play that one. Down here in bottom lane, also want to point out, Luger does have Cleanse versus Neo's heal. Cleanse feels pretty necessary against the Caitlyn Lux lane because otherwise, as soon as a binding hits you, the trap will be placed under you and you're just in a CC chain that feels like an eternity.
It's one of those somewhat uninteractive combos where if you get hit by it as they win the level 2, very nice early on to get that chunk there. But like it's one of those, if you get chained up, you're just dead. There's no one to exhaust, you know, there's no one in range to like cut their damage. It's not an engaged situation. So given that, you just want to grab the Cleanse. It won't have a ton of value later in the game beyond basically Lux Qs because if the Volibear is already on top of you, well, he's on top of you. So I think it's strictly probably the best laning one to stop yourself from getting 100 to 0'd, and that's really what Luger's prioritizing.
So do you expect to see the junglers, who are currently both bottom side, by the way, put a lot of focus into this bottom lane based on the Caitlyn Lux playstyle?
Oh yeah. Caitlyn Lux, it's a lane that I think technically wins every lane, but also if you don't play it well, you do not win every lane. See, the power of the Caitlyn Lux lane is the fact that you can usually harass while also hitting creeps. When people step up next to the backline creeps, Caitlyn Q, a Lux E can kind of hit both while also getting the shove, and if you're not able to kind of get that double value, the harass while the shoving, like that kind of situation, then it doesn't get that much usage.
Well, now Dignitas might have found themselves a binding and got the Cleanse out of Luger, but Contractz being right there ready to go means that they're going to get some summoner spells back. It's Biofrost's Flash and Neo's heal traded for Luger's Cleanse and Poome's heal.
Yeah, Volibear did sneak into the river, into the brush, excuse me, though. So River might find an angle here onto Poome if he walks a little too far forward. They'll use the Lux Binding to set this up potentially. Oh.
Well, River's going in. There's still Flash on both CLG players. They did not spend either one of those, so they're fine just backing away. They're not too scared of this one, and doesn't turn into much.
I was a little surprised at how they were setting that gank up. Potentially a miscommunication there, because Bio can start with the E to just get a slow. You don't even need to proc it for damage, and that will set up the Volibear to get closer to the Lulu and usually force the Flash away. So just maybe a little... The cooldowns weren't quite synced up, and they just went when they felt like they could. And I don't think River wanted to waste too much time down there with his second camps respawning.
Well, up here in topside, FakeGod got the better of Jenkins in that quick trade in the river. You can see the whenever Graves' Q hits the wall, the speed at which the burst comes out is always something that can just be like, wait, where'd that come from? But then Jenkins was able to follow that one up pretty well, got the stun afterwards. A little bit of extra damage with the Thundering Shuriken too. These guys sort of just breaking even for now as back in mid lane. Palafox and Blue, it's a Zilean Corki lane. This is not the kind of lane that's going to be a bunch of excitement and playmaking and big moves. And
I don't want to see the camera go on them again until someo's dead in mid lane. Otherwise, don't show me that. Don't show me that lane.
Oh, the observers are being cheeky.
Yeah, I know.
They have.
I say that's where the camera's going. No. I'm kidding. I just mean like it's one of those matchups where like really nothing's going to happen. Like the best that you can see is like, oh, Palafox landed a double bomb to chunk out the Corki for a little bit of pressure in the lane. Like that's kind of the game you're playing versus all-in potential. You can pull the wave to like set up gank opportunities. You can actually do some intelligent things, I mean, but it's definitely not the most explosive lane. Quite like, you know, top lane can really go one way or the other if someone makes a big mistake.
Right. because you have a Kennen, because you have a Graves, because if either one of them gets to that lead where they can just one-shot the dude if he walks within range, it's scary stuff. Down here in bottom lane, we take another look at how things are shaking out between Neo and Luger. It is a slight farm lead for the Caitlyn, but of course there's also more minions for the Caitlyn, so Luger will be able to make up for this a little bit. Dignitas has a couple hundred gold advantage across the map. You can see a little bit of that in mid lane, a little bit of that here in bottom lane. All over the place, really, but our junglers are once again both in bottom side. Over the wall comes River. He's looking for Poome. He goes for the flash. The snare is not there. And now River is trying to 1v2 as Luger's going to get chased down. Neo and Biofrost putting the damage into him. River tries to get back away. 300 HP on the Dignitas jungler, 200 on the CLG AD carry. A little bit of blows being traded back and forth, but nobody's dead yet, Mark.
Yeah, not dead yet, but with Contractz having that big of an HP percentage, he feels comfortable going for a small invade, looking for potential wraparound. River spots him out, so he's going to end up backing away. That was really interesting how they played that. Luger fought a 1v2 on his side, while River fought the 2v1 in the river. River fought in the river. God, that sketch you guys did.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Welcome.
I hate it. Anyways, it was a situation where both teams risk getting collapsed on by the other one. If Luger stepped a little bit too far forward to try and get damage onto River, then he can get pincered on. If, you know, River tries to collapse onto the people that were going onto him, then he can also get jumped on, and it was a bit of a stalemate that both teams ended up just backing away from.
Well, that means we don't get first blood yet. We're going to have to wait and see still where it shakes out. You can see a ping coming out from Dignitas. They spotted where Contractz was. They're saying, all right, he's around there. It's level 6 for the jungler of CLG. Both of these junglers have such incredibly powerful playmaking ultimates. Level 6, very important. I'm excited to see which one of them is able to make a meaningful impact with it first. Contractz farming up, River farming up. Nobody's really got a play to look for here just yet.
And I know it might not be the most explosive game so far, obviously, but I do appreciate the restraint from CLG. The problem with them was never, can we try and find to make a play? It was like they were good about making plays. It was, they probably shouldn't have been making some of these plays. And I appreciate these 3v3s in the bot lane going for the smaller advantages. The first time that Contractz went down there, they got a flash, they were happy with it. Next time they go down there, they win the fight, they get a little bit more control in the early game. That's something that they're happy to take, given that we talk about them having the scaling advantage. I like, with this draft, CLG actually not having their pedal to the metal. You know, take it easy.
Yeah.
You guys can scale a little bit, and if you neutralize the aggression out of Dig, you're already doing your job.
And it's funny enough because, you know, you're talking about how this one's a little bit slower. I mean, last time around we were making the comments about how our previous game had 8 kills at 8 minutes.
Yep.
We're currently sitting on 0 versus 0 as Contractz looks to change that. Devastating charge back onto the Dignitas jungler. There comes your Zilean ulti, making sure Contractz doesn't die. Dignitas can just walk on out ulti for ulti from these junglers. Still no first blood.
No first blood, forces them back. A little dicey there. Contractz could have gone down, but Palafox was in range, threw the ultimate on. That forced Dig back. Dig will get some chip damage down this turret, so a small gold lead in their favor. 500 just from laning and plates. 10 CS in the mid lane, 10 CS in the bot lane. But that's not enough. You really want to see Dignitas explode this game a little bit here. If you're River, you're trying to make a play now for a bot dive, now that you're shoving the wave a little bit easier, most likely. We'll see it with Corki's first package window getting pushed back from 8 minutes to 10 in one of the recent nerfs. That's really the timing window where you want to make a play around this bot lane right as you get in 6 as well on Lux. That's where I think Dignitas really wants to blow this game open.
And you could see what happened as you were describing this. Luger losing the cleanse yet again there. That was a binding underneath the turret coming out from Biofrost. And the power of the range of Caitlyn and Lux, even when you're underneath your own turret,
not safe.
Got to pop that binding with the cleanse. Otherwise, it's just bad news. You can see even the E didn't detonate there. That was just the Q plus Q combo there with the Piltover Peacemaker. But very, very strong stuff coming out from this duo. With the minions all equalized and farmed up, it is still a 2-wave lead for Neo. No Drake taken by either team yet. Contractz coming in mid, Blue with the flash to get back away.
I like that. Get the flash out of Blue. Like we said, he's going to be getting his first package pretty soon here, and then they'll probably be going on to the Dragon or a dive, and getting the flash out of Blue means he can't go for one of those kind of kamikaze packages where you go flying over the back line and then, you know, worst case scenario.
Valkyrie, flash!
Yeah, like, you're right, you're so safe. I can't do anything about that. With the flash down, you can potentially punish him a little bit more, so it does kind of stem that potential aggression once the package is grabbed.
Contractz will move into the enemy jungle. He'll pick up a little bit of extra money here with his Raptor camp. Blue knows that Contractz is still around. He's playing back to his turret, and he's playing as close as he can to the other wall. He does not want to be onslaughted of shadows over the wall. Palafox tries to throw out the double bomb there, but a good Valkyrie away means Blue is able to avoid at least half of that damage. But Biofrost is now on the roam. He'll be moving around trying to clear out some of this vision in the river. Palafox just keeps farming up the wave, and it'll be CLG going after the first neutral objective in the game with the Rift Herald.
Able to take that one away using a little bit of the Kennen pressure. Kennen into Graves is not like a hard counter pick where you slam the lane, you're threatening to kill him. It's more that Graves has a hard time finding a big lead.
Yeah.
Both people kind of play from range relatively safely, and then Kennen is usually a little bit more substantial of a team fighter and brings magic damage and can do a lot of nice things for your comp, and it makes it a safe pick for the Kennen rather than like I'm going to dumpster this matchup straight up.
Well, Graves does have that Hull Breaker online. Like you were talking about last game, man, it's a pretty cheap price point item. You can get it up and running. Feels great in the 1v1s. Not quite as good in the team fights, losing out on the power on it. Of course, the gold efficiency is still very high, even if you don't have the passive built. But we'll see what FakeGod can accomplish in this side lane situation so far here. When you're looking at the state of turret plates right now, he's managed to pick up 1 there in the top lane, hasn't lost any himself. Mid lane is still 5 versus 5 in terms of those plates. The most plates taken are actually on the bottom side. Neo and Biofrost have taken 3 of the plates from the turret of CLG, which leads me to pose the question, how big does the Caitlyn Lux lead need to be to justify this pick?
I would say right now is okay, given that this is the timing window that we're talking about exploding when Corki gets his package. They took an interesting reset there to get the Gale Force on Neo before this Dragon. That's one of those situations I'd actually rather... Oh, hold on, dive coming in.
They are going in, and they are going in all the way. Poome, he gets resurrected, and Blue tries to get out, but the bomb is already stuck on his head. Contractz goes in, first blood over to Palafox, and CLG ain't done yet. Onslaught of Shadows comes out. Contractz, I don't know what the hell's going on, buddy. You better get out of town. Here comes the ace in the hole, and Hecarim's back in the glue factory. Dignitas makes it a 1-for-1 trade thanks to Contractz getting a little too hyped.
Wow, that started out as a great counter by CLG, the teleport completing, able to keep Poome alive, but an overchase by Contractz means not only do they trade a kill back, but Neo and Biofrost have the push now to eventually drop this turret while River works down the Dragon as well. And so what started as a neutralizing fight now goes massively in Dignitas' favor.
Yeah, this feels great for Dig. You can see it's so easy for Volibear to solo this one down. The healing that he gets from his W just means he's never going to die against this Hextech Drake anyway. Neo and Biofrost, so much control down here. Oh,
no.
Kamehame, hot damn. Biofrost and Neo just putting in the work here with these picks. Now I would say those picks are more than justified.
This is exactly what I was saying. There's this belief. Hold on, as we see Contractz looking for a counterpunch in the top lane. I don't know if this one's going to work. FakeGod gets away. Herald dropped. What I was going to say is there's this belief that, like, Caitlyn Lux needs to be playing at your turret from minute 1. And it's like, if you can make that work, great. But that's really not what the pick is trying to do. It's really about trying to explode bot lanes right when all these other timing windows are going on with the comp. A well-drafted Caitlyn comp can shove from level 1, but realistically wants to do things like this. Use that pressure to make plays. And that's why I was applauding CLG for neutralizing Dig's early game, and I was saying, oh, this is the restraint I was hoping to see out of them. But then immediately after, if something feels like it's going in their favor, they just overreach. Their hand gets caught in the cookie jar, Contractz gives up a kill, they give up all that pressure, and now the Caitlyn comp is in a great position.
Yeah, that one. Sometimes League of Legends can be defined by single moments, like single plays, one misstep. And that misstep from Contractz in the overchase just feels it's almost like unfair how punishing that is. But unfortunately, that's the state of the game when you're against a comp like this. Those sorts of errors get punished massively. And so Contractz' death there gives away that Drake, it gives away that turret, it gives away what is now Mark a 2,500 gold lead at 14 minutes in a game that only has 3 kills.
And this is when the Caitlyn comp also becomes annoying, is once that first turret breaks, hold on, here's the TP Kennen flank.
River is going to move up to try to help his bottom lane. Nice binding from Biofrost. CLG tries to collapse, but they can't get the angle, and Dig walks away.
Wow, that is a huge binding there. That is one of the ways you can punish this Caitlyn Lux lane, is find TP flanks behind them when they try and set up at your turret, and to neutralize that play, to not die, to get the teleport out. Now you have TP advantage. FakeGod gets some breathing room on the other side of the map to make this Hull Breaker work. I mean, they are in a lot of trouble here. It's can they hold on now for the next 10 minutes while Dignitas is going to be able to run this game effectively until 25 minutes? If the gold lead stays 2.5K, great, but it's going to be very hard to keep it there.
Contractz coming in, trying to fight River over this chicken camp here. Contractz does have a massive lead over River in terms of the farm. River's got this very active jungling style where he's always looking for a play to make. It can lead to him falling behind in those farm numbers a little bit. But hey, he's not afraid of it, man. He got the Drake for his team. He's the one who set up the dive in bottom that ended up going their way. Things are all right.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anyone who ever doesn't care about falling behind, it's River. Contractz on Hecarim does still want to get some kills in his back pocket.
Contractz going in after FakeGod, who steps away from the zap of the Jinx. Onslaught of Shadows comes out. FakeGod still trying to fight this out in the 1v2. Nearly kills Contractz, but close ain't enough. Tries to get out. The last rocket hits him, but it's not quite there. FakeGod makes it a 1-for-1 trade.
Makes it a 1-for-1. The kill also went on to Contractz, so the double buff dies. And as they traded kills, it does not get passed on to Luger there. It still hands the assist off, but during that time, it was actually Neo and Biofrost in the top side pushing and getting that turret down. Contractz showing there was actually a huge deal because CLG has good vision control on the top side of the map. Dig did not know where Contractz was, so once he shows on this gank attempt, it makes the ball lane very confident to walk up and take that top turret. And then here, I mean, you just see the power of Hullbreaker. Hullbreaker is actually a defensive item when you look at what it gives you. It's an insanely powerful stat stick, but it only gives you a little bit of attack. The rest of it is in the resist. It's within the massive health pool, and it makes it so hard to kill people who have Hullbreaker. And so FakeGod's able to kite them out during the entire time, and eventually Contractz feels like he needs to go in. Otherwise, the Jinx won't actually finish him off while he's healing up. You know, that's just how powerful the Hullbreaker is with the stats that it gives you.
Yep, and well done from FakeGod there. It looked like surely Hecarim's just going to charge him down and get the kill, but Q1 along the ground alongside a close enough auto attack that all the bullets are hitting the right target just takes him out. Well played from FakeGod, being able to make that one a 1-for-1. Next, Drake, here in about, 50 seconds or so. Dignitas already have the first one. They would love to be able to get the second. Moving towards a Dragon Soul win condition would help this team to also be able to answer some of that hyperscaling from the Jinx by saying, hey, Dragon Soul's something y'all are going to have to fight for.
Yeah, Dragon Soul will eventually be something CLG has to answer, but I expect them to sack this Dragon. They're getting a lot of vision control down right now, but that's just because River is onto the Rift Herald. Once they swap their attention down to that bot side, I expect CLG to sack that one and just focus on stabilizing. You don't have the TP flank on Kennen, which is the main way that you want to fight these objectives. When Dignitas is set up, you want to get wards ahead of time and then be able to use those for your Kennen to lock down a backline. But with the fact that he has no teleport available, with the fact that you're 2.5k gold behind, you're still waiting to get a couple more items. I don't think CLG is seriously going to contest this, but we'll see if they want to. Package timer as well for blue. Rift Herald mid, like,
it's rough.
Yeah, a lot going to Dignitas' favor here.
It's rough. There goes the Herald. Mid lane tier 1. That one should fall. No real difficulty in that. CLG has already backed away. They didn't want to get caught out of position as Dignitas was setting themselves up. And now with Dig beginning the Drake, with Blue having that package like you're talking about, there's just no way for CLG to try to move forward and contest this. So it's now 2 Drakes, 2,500 gold, and a kill and 2 turrets is the lead for the side of Dignitas. Things are looking really solid here 18 minutes in.
Yeah, this is great for Dig. You know, you're going to start swapping your attention up into the Baron pit now. Eventually, FakeGod make his way down to the bot side. Keep your bot lane in mid. Keep that push up. And eventually, you have enough damage to threaten a pretty early Baron. You always want to check, like, how much of a threat is this comp actually at 20 minutes? Corki, Caitlyn, and a Volibear all hitting the Baron for an extended period of time, assuming they get vision control. It is actually a bit of a threat for CLG. So this is a good early game plan, and if they send a lot of people down there, you have FakeGod pushing the bot side, assuming he'll go end up in the bot lane soon.
Well, Blue is going to back up, recognizing, hey, CLG's probably going to come after me here a little bit. Contractz, he'll just go back up into the river, pick up that crab there, knock the shield off with devastating charge. Blue is away to safety. Let's check in on our junglers here again. The farm lead hasn't been any different since what it was a while ago when we checked in, about plus 30 for Contractz. He's still up 1 level compared to River. Of course, this level is more meaningful because it's level 11, so level 2 ulti generally going to help out a lot, and River's going to need to catch up a little.
And get some Zilean cheat codes as well. Walks up there.
Yep.
Up, down, left, right, I don't know.
Up, down, left, right, A, B, select, start, all of that good stuff.
I think it gives you lives, not experience in that game.
Right? I mean, there's cheat codes in like every game.
Yeah,
it depends.
I forget which one that was actually for, though.
I'm just making stuff up.
We're boomers. I don't even know if people know what we're talking about.
If you're using a real cheat code, I am just making stuff up.
It's called the Konami code. It's like one of the OG cheat codes.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I remember that now. I still don't know if I got it right, but I'm going to pretend like I did, as Palafox just gets bit by River here, as River's trying to stop the invade coming out from CLG. Lux Laser finds Palafox. Corki rocket over the wall means they're going to proc that revive. Contractz still trying to stand and fight a little bit, but a TP's coming out. Dignitas still on the chase. Contractz running the opposite way. River with the flash over the wall. Meanwhile, Palafox just gets shot to pieces over the wall. Contractz is still trying to get out. Biofrost is right there, ready and waiting. Contractz, run, buddy, run! Where's he going?
He's delaying the inevitable, I believe.
Here comes the bear.
Well, thinks he can fight him.
What the? Okay, there we go. All right.
All right, still pretty well done by Contractz, who wasted a little bit of time there for Kennen to work down the turret in the top lane, but Dignitas answering the bot side, picking up those 2 kills. CLG trying to find little plays to slow Dignitas down. It's just not working out for them. Well done there. For Dignitas, this is really what you're happy to see as a Dig fan, because there has been this question of like, how legitimate is Dignitas? After Lock-in Tournament, everyone's like, legit top 5 team. They look really good. Then they start slumping. People are really worried if they're actually good. They beat 100 Thieves last week, who they seem to have a good matchup against, just in theory. They always seem to go up well against 100 Thieves. And then to continue that against CLG, who we're talking about building this momentum during Super Week, is solidifying Dignitas as this middle-of-the-pack team at least that can maybe punch up sometimes.
Well, we've got second items getting completed in a few different places, my friend. Collector just came online for the Caitlyn, Eclipse online for the Graves, and you can see Corki very, very close to being able to evolve that Manamune into the Muramana, and that means the poke goes from fair to not fair.
Yeah, Corki becomes a very unfair champ when you have the Luden's Muramana completed. A lot of poke damage. For CLG's side, one of the problems is they do have engage, but it's all very committed engage. There's some champions that you can kind of throw out an ult, as we see Hecarim. Here we go.
Contractz calling his shot, saying, here we go. And Dignitas saying, no thanks. I'm just going to walk away from this one, disengaging that. Did that even cost a summoner spell? No, sir, it didn't. Just a Volibear ulti. And that's it.
This is exactly what we're talking about, trying to find kills before the dragon when it's all grouped up. CLG took a shot there, respected it, just didn't end up working out. Oh boy, they're trying their hardest to stay online, but here we go. Luger in potentially some trouble.
Oh, flash from Biofrost, and they're still going to get the binding. River's there for the follow-up almost. And FakeGod with the flash over the wall. Q1, Q2, nothing else to it. Dignitas, they end up making the play. They end up finding the pick. And they're the ones with control over the map, and particularly the Dragon Pit, with 20 seconds to go until that third Drake.
Man, Biofrost looking good on this Lux. He's looked good all split long. Right there, sets it up with a flash punish, and even though Poome flash away was still in line, and the Lux Q range is no joke.
Yeah, that's what I really like, the flash, just saying, okay, even if you flash, I have the confidence that I'll hit you anyway, and he goes for it. That is Lux gaming right there. You love to see it, man. Well, if you're Dignitas, if you're CLG, you're starting to get a little bit worried because it's over 4,000 gold. Dignitas are now on Soul Point, so now I've got to put you in the hot spot again.
No.
And ask the tough question, what in the hell are CLG supposed to do, Mark?
I feel like at this point, it's really hard to win any fight that is not an odd-numbered fight, in the sense that you have to find Neo here when he's pushed up.
Well, Contractz goes in, Neo goes out. However, Luger tries to finish that one off. He mistimes the zap, and Neo stays alive.
That is exactly the kind of stuff you do need to do, though. So hats off for CLG, seeing an opportunity. They're almost killing Neo. They get the flash out. They get the stopwatch out. So setting up a potential repeat, if you can get that in the next 5 minutes, that's great. You can try and get that kill and potentially grab some objectives to get back into the game, because you're not that insanely far out. It does look very bad. But like we talked about, all the scaling advantages that I think their comp should have, if you can win one of these fights and get 1,000 gold, 2,000 gold back in your pocket, you can maybe contest that last dragon that's coming up in a couple minutes. And as long as you don't give up a Baron, that is technically an odd man fight in my head. You can find pickoffs, or Dig can start a Baron, get kind of pinned up against it, and then take a desperate fight. That is one of the other ways that CLG's comp could potentially find a way back in, with the Kennen flank going in, with a Hecarim ult hitting multiple people. Like, those are, in a sense, an odd man fight that they could win.
And the Kennen ulti is the thing that I want to look at, because Jenkins' score is still 0, 0, and 0. The Kennen has not really been a relevant point in the game up until now, but we know that Kennen is one of these champions where a single ulti can change the entirety of a game. We've seen it tons of times throughout the history of League of Legends. He's got the Proto Belt, he's got the Shadow Flame. These two items are absolutely beautiful at melting 4 out of 5 players on the side of Dignitas.
You go with the Pen Boots as well to make sure you can 100-0 any squishy backline person. Probably going to go Zhonya's from here, but I like prioritizing the damage over the survivability. If you can't kill the people that you're trying to dive onto, you can't do your job. So even though you might die while you do it, that's better than Zhonyazing and just letting them all walk out. So I like going for the damage first on Kennen usually. If you need that, you have to pick up the damage first. From here, we'll see what he wants to go. I do like some of the adaptations. FakeGod picking up a Maw of Malmortius. We'll see if other people want to do that too, given that that was buffed a couple patches ago to be substantially more powerful to actually complete that item and not just stop at Hex Drinker. It's something
It was a
Corki.
joke for so long, and now you're seeing so many people build it, it still feels weird.
Yeah, it's still getting used to it, but it's a legitimately good upgrade now. And so I hope Blue picks one up as well. There is a fair amount of magic damage on the team with even, the Zilean bombs and stuff that can go on top of your head, given that you're shorter range for FakeGod and stuff like that. I think that's a really smart pickup.
Well, that's kind of the thing that I'm watching, is has the lack of presence from Kennen for the first 26 minutes of this game been enough to make Dignitas overconfident in how comfortable they are in the fight? Can Jenkins find an initiation, find a flank, find an angle, find a big flash ulti that can change the course of things? Because if he can, CLG could get right back into this game. But right now, Dignitas are still firmly in control. Blue's pushing up in the top side. He's onto the tier 2 turret. CLG's grouped up as a 5-man death ball in mid. But it doesn't really matter too much because it's Dignitas with a control ward in the Baron pit, and they're starting this one up as a 2-man with River and FakeGod. Meanwhile, Neo and Biofrost might just get dove here in the mid lane. There's the Jenkins engage I was talking about. There's the flash ulti slicing Maelstrom. Gets it done. But the entire time, as CLG are now pinging onto the Baron pit, they're saying, hey guys, we just killed mid lane. We just killed their bottom laners. We should go take up. What just happened? Baron gets snuck by Dignitas.
CLG pinged it out. They were absolutely aware that was going on. I just don't think they thought it was going that slowly. And so they made the conscious choice, hey, let's go kill the people in the mid lane and get a bunch of gold back in our pockets because we thought that we just never had a chance to contest that at that point. They probably could have gotten over there if they immediately rushed afterwards, but this is still good for them. This is one of those odd man fights you're looking for. Jenkins able to find a really nice flash engage, lands the stun, which allows the Hecarim to get in range, and so Caitlyn could knock it out. They get these 2 kills. Here, Baron's at half HP. If you say, screw this turret, let's go get to the Baron, they potentially could have got there in time. They not end up doing that, and so for Dignitas, still not the end of the world to have the Baron-powered minions coming up with the soul point as well.
Right.
Not that bad of a situation for what could have just been 2 for 0 and a Baron stop.
And the thing that I look at important in this as well, the 2 players that died and thus did not get the Baron are your AD carry and your support.
Who are never alone.
Yeah, they'll never be splitting in the Baron split push situation. So it's not like you're losing any of the threat of Baron. Volibear can stand next to Caitlyn and Lux and enchant whatever minions they would be enchanting. But you've still got it on Graves, you've still got it on Corki, and now Dignitas are ready to fight for what will be the Ocean Soul if they can secure it. Blue has package ready for delivery. Binding over the wall, nice little bit of damage. Kaboom on Poome. He's down to about 1/4 life, so things now become much more difficult for the side of CLG, in particular their poor little support, who now has to navigate this fight with a very limited life pool. Drake is started up, River is nearby, he'll just walk right past his own control ward, needs to get in position here for the smite. Where is CLG's initiation gonna be? Blue's already killed Poome! Oh no, CLG, it ain't looking good in the Ocean Soul on top of it. Oh, it's looking bad, my friends. Blue takes a little bit of damage from the Super Mega Death Rocket, but Luger's stuck in the wrong place, and CLG is stuck in the wrong spot in this game. 6,000 gold lead, Baron buff, Ocean Soul, you name it, they got it. Dignitas Party Bus is going 90 miles an hour down mid lane.
Yeah, they're going to keep this one rolling. Going to be able to grab the mid-inner turret, most likely the inhibitor turret as well. 30 seconds before Luger is back up. CLG just did not have an angle into that fight with all the traps that were put down. Jenkins using his flash in that previous engage, and so that allowed Dignitas to set up around that objective, win the fight, and now potentially even win the game. They're not backing off.
They don't have side waves anywhere nearby, so they're saying, all right, let's use what we got, and what we got is a Volibear ulti on the 2 Nexus turrets. First one's already dead. They're gonna take out the top laner now as well. Jenkins didn't have a chance to fight back. Contractz coming back out of the fountain, but the Nexus is done, and Dignitas take the win.
Dignitas end the game off that single fight. Unbelievable aggression there out of them. They saw the double turrets, turn it off with the Volibear, and then just forced them back, just burn those 2 turrets down. Jenkins Reese wanted to go in, and he got exploded before he could even get his stopwatch off. So Dignitas there, a little bit of a stumble, but an actually very clean game, all things considered.
Yeah, it was fun to see them actually go for the throat there at the very end, because as they were breaking the inhibitor, I was like, okay, for sure they're going to take this. I looked at the 2 side lanes, I was like, wow, these lane states in the side are not good enough to do anything with, so they either go all the way here or they back off. I love the fact they went for it, especially with the Volibear ulti. That's the kind of aggro I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you have a Kennen with ult up and stopwatch, it's very hard to just dive turrets, even if you turn them off for a second. He just goes in, stopwatches, stops everything.
He buys the time.
Yeah, freezes the play. And so the fact that they were able to find that kill onto him, Jenkins not able to stopwatch, actually allowed them to end that game very quickly from what I was like, oh, maybe CLG can start working their way back in after that double kill mid lane.
So I want to trace this back to the source, because to me, this all came from one moment. And that one moment was the overchase in bottom from Contractz that led to Neo and Biofrost being able to take turret number 1, that led to the first Drake going the way of Dig, that led to the map rotations afterwards, that led to the objectives afterwards. You talk about a flap of a butterfly's wings changes yada, yada, yada. I don't know the quote. Well, the gallop of a horse's hooves gets CLG in a really bad spot, and sometimes those single mistakes just make everything fall apart.
That's what makes League of Legends such a fun game to talk about, is because it's these moments that can break your back. I always talk about, like, oh, what was the back-breaking play of this game? Like, why did we lose? If you could isolate down to a single thing, yes, there's a multitude of reasons, but the biggest thing is we went aggressive when we shouldn't. We were neutralizing them. We were doing a great job. And especially a champion like Caitlyn is such a tempo-oriented champion that once she gets ahead of the pace of the game, she is infuriating to play against. When she falls behind, she may as well not even be a champion. And so to make a mistake against a champion like that allows her to then go topside, keep pushing turrets, and then suddenly have mid control, and you can't set up around dragons because there's 5 traps in the river. And, you know, it's one of these situations where that's something that I think CLG is going to want to take that play back.
And we talked about it at the start of the game. When you have Caitlyn Lux, when you have one of these types of compositions, with these 2 in particular, playing from ahead, being at the Drake first, being able to set up the trap line, being able to create the situations like what you said in that final fight for the Drake soul. Yes, CLG don't have a way in. Like, there's so much of this is blocked off. Dignitas is already so far ahead. It just felt like a no-win situation.
Yeah, I think CLG really took their shot before the dragon fight when you use flash Kennen ult. Like, that's your moment. And so they really need to stop the Baron from going down, because then once you move on to the dragon, you don't have enough of buttons to really find a way into that fight. And actually, my F key doesn't do anything anymore.
Oh, no.
Just take that off the keyboard until it comes back in 5 minutes, you know? And so without those available, they didn't have a realistic way of contesting that objective.
So I think for CLG, like, looking back at this game, again, you're just going to be focusing on where was the aggro too much. We know it was in bottom lane. That's like the biggest, brightest example. But there were, you know, as you said, a multitude of problems here. But for Dignitas, I love the fact that they're able to play the Caitlyn Lux, the style that you said that they find themselves comfortable with, and succeed on it like this.
Yeah, I think for Dignitas, it was a little touch and go at those different moments, but they ultimately navigated them better. The fact that this double kill did not send you behind in the game. The fact that they stayed on the Baron. They said, all right, CLG, you just killed our bot lane. We're not going to panic. We're still on the Baron, and they still have to stop us. And the fact that CLG didn't meant that they had a way back into the game. Because I think a lot of teams, if your bot lane gets killed mid and they start shoving up mid, the 2 people on Baron crap their pants and they get off the Baron.
Right.
So I think for Dignitas, they showed, okay, we understand that wasn't great, but we can still make the most of the situation.
Dignitas had patience there, and again, that felt like a similar mistake from CLG, where they're just getting too greedy. Just like they did in bot lane, they're like, okay, we can take second turret and we can still get to Baron. Don't worry about it. We have time. What's this? No time?
No time.
Time ran out.
Baron's
no
gone.
time. But now it's time for us to head on over to the Bud Light Breakdown to wrap up our day.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and welcome to the Bud Light Breakdown. Dignitas will put themselves at a slick 500 record by picking up a victory here over CLG. Raz, you're feeling good about your day, and we'll get into that in just a bit.
Don't challenge me again.
Jatt, on the other hand, struggling a little bit. Let's talk draft, though.
Okay. Oh, you wanted me to talk draft? I can do that easily.
I mean, I can ask you a question if you need a question. I just figured you were all capable of,
No, that's fair.
independent thought.
I'm a free thinker.
Are you, though?
Well, a comp that CLG found success in previously was basically boosting Hecarim compositions, right? Lulu and Zilean, something that is actually pretty threatening if you have a lead. If you're able to gain a lead at some point, then it's like, okay, well, it's doomed. They tried going bot lane a few times with this type of composition, and it didn't really pan out. I think that River did a great job being able to hover for their lanes, which made it so that the Caitlyn Lux can keep afloat, and they can find plays through bot lane eventually at the 10-minute mark. So it's nice to be able to see them kind of hit that.
And we've talked about common bans against Dig. We see one of them here in the J4, but the other has been Caitlyn, because Dignitas has been kind of the only team in North America to be able to execute Caitlyn Lux to a level where it does end up taking over the mid game like it's supposed to, and you are able to have lane assignments where you're hitting structures. So it was cool to see them go back to it, even though we've seen less of it, which is why I assume it also went through, right? But they played around that bot lane really well, and this is something, again, that they're just super comfortable with as a team.
Something else with the draft is when they picked Zilean on 4-5, they're staring straight at the Caitlyn, which if you're just an elongated fight and the Caitlyn comp is just winning, I'll just put a trap underneath the person that's being revived.
Yeah,
and it's not a winning position. So the risk was definitely there, but they were committed to the comp.
Oh, this is the one we're going to start with?
I did request this.
Yeah.
That is true. Hey, if we wanted to talk about how scrappy this game was, the one-for-one there from FakeGod. CLG was trying really hard when they fell behind in this game to find plays to come back, and that was one of them. It was hard to watch.
I mean, that was one. This was this was the better one here, right? As the Baron's happening. This felt like a good look from CLG from behind.
Yeah, it was. And if they would have just turned and really flipped running back into Baron, they might have been able to stop it and not going to turn the game. But then when they're up against Baron minions in mid lane, a bunch of Caitlyn traps in River, and having to just like Hecarim ult through Corki missiles and Caitlyn traps, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Dig did actually play this well.
Exactly. I think they did a really good job setting around objectives. I think that's something to look forward to in the next few games, is that, hey, they have control of an objective, and I know that they love their Caitlyn Luxes. Then they do a lot of good work at prioritizing keeping the positioning. And if CLG's walking into that, that's literally an unwinnable position. Like, Hecarim can run right through, but who's going to follow up?
Yeah.
A better look for Dignitas, to say the least. It's also nice to see River jumping on to another champion, just widening that pool a little bit. But still, I was
going to say, my pushback is I've seen River play a ton of other stuff.
Sure, I'm just talking about in the context of Dignitas and Spring Split.
Playing. I just don't want anyone to think that we're saying, like, he can only play Jarvan.
I'm not making a sweeping statement about his career. I'm making a statement about him and the LCS. No, it's a totally
really
fair
time, like, controlling my reaction face. I was like, wait, but...
Well, it's an entirely fair retort, and that is something that is important for people to understand about this player. I just think it is interesting that as of yet, right, he's only played so many different styles, and in most cases, styles that are indicative or meant to empower his laners, right? Really be utilitarian as opposed to carry-oriented in his own way.
He played 87 games last year. One of them was Jarvan.
So, like, what a left turn he took, right?
Now all he can do is play Jarvan.
So remembering the triple TP Talon, and I was like, let's go. Like, let's
I still want to see
Talon.
that. Yeah.
You know?
Like, come on.
We
Bring
never
that
saw
back.
it.
Bring a bunch of that back.
Talon's not good anymore.
Damn it. Okay. Well, maybe he can jump on the Zed or the Kiana trains or something like that. 5-5 Dignitas, a good look for them, as this team is kind of waffled. Rises and falls throughout the split, still kind of trying to figure out where exactly they're meant to land. But out of curiosity, do you remember where you had them on your where they were on your top lane tier list?
Oh, you mean
FakeGod?
FakeGod?
Yeah.
Last place.
Last place.
Yeah.
You rethinking that a little bit?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
But maybe a few more weeks.
A few more weeks.
I'm going to think about it.
And we'll change it.
Yeah, we'll go back to that.
Sounds
He doesn't
good to
react that quickly.
me. No, Raz, as we know, is a tempered individual.
Exactly. I never flip-flop. Not in my life.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look at today's players of the game. 5 awarded across all 5 of our games, and they are Danny, Jose Diodo, Santorin at Summit, and Biofrost.
There we go. For me, the standout in this one, I will always go back to the C9 game. Summit getting the solo kill top versus Licorice is just having a monstrous performance in these past 2 weeks.
And something I want to point out is Santorin coming in for TL. We focused a lot on the top lane discussion because we had Bwipo on the desk, but you saw the classic, like, okay, I am just going to gank mid, blow flash, gank mid again. We saw it with Jensen last year a ton. Whenever he can do that to affect and destabilize mid, he does, and that really set up everything that TL did afterwards.
I was going to make a silly comment. We're so close to having 5 different roles for 5 games. I was counting through it. We're just missing a mid laner.
We're
got
missing a
double
mid laner
jungle,
there?
Yeah.
2 junglers.
Mid laner's got to step it up,
man,
man.
they need to.
Always slacking. Let's take a look at the standings. It's Team Liquid. It's Cloud9 at the top of the table, tied in that position. FlyQuest, though, right behind them in
4
third at
teams
6
at
and
4th.
4. Although this does actually kind of reiterate the point you made today, Jatt, which is
big middle.
Yeah, exactly. You've got those 2 teams that are a step or 2 above the rest, and then we used to have a word for that.
The big middle.
That big middle.
The big middle.
The big
The
middle.
big middle. I
Well,
think
we'll
we should
workshop
call
it.
it the big middle.
There's something better out there that I'm sure we can find, and then a couple of teams bringing it up from behind. On-air talent predictions, though, this is perhaps more important
Let's go.
for today.
Oh, not a good
Oh,
day.
a tragedy.
Yeah.
Jatt made the fatal mistake of
Of
going
edging
against
Raz.
Raz. Yeah.
I said, whatever Raz takes, I'll take the opposite.
And the one
This is
day.
the first ever time you've gone 5-0.
The
in
one
the history
day,
of the LCS.
every other day has been a tragedy. But the one day I came out on top. It's crazy.
I thought it was a good call today.
Yeah,
It
today
really was not.
all of these games on paper felt really doable.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So the moment he said this, I was like, okay, let's pray that I'm not being destroyed on television out there. But no,
You see what you're doing. You see what you're doing to our teams here, Jatt?
I mean,
You see what you're
I'm
doing?
glad I can have a positive impact on the world today.
Positive?
Is much happier than on other days.
Oh, there you go.
There we
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
true.
Hey, keep Raz happy.
Confidence through the roof.
Yep.
Let's keep it going.
Happy
Right,
Raz,
entertainment.
happy analyst desk.
Yep,
I
it's-
believe that's how the
that's
saying
how it
goes.
works.
Let's take a look at tomorrow's schedule. Jatt's not here, so he won't have to predict these. But if he did, he'd be
fine,
predicting.
you're not coming back.
He'd be predicting between Team Liquid and Mortals Progressive to kick off the day. CLG versus 100 Thieves to follow. EG Cloud9, FlyQuest, Dignitas QNTMPAY, and closing things out with Golden Guardians versus TSM. When you take a look at these matchups, Emily, where do your eyes go?
EG C9.
Oh.
Immediately.
Good one.
Well, because
Yeah.
as we know, Raz believes that EG is a top team in the
I
LCS.
did say this. I did
Okay,
say
so
this.
can they take down Cloud9, Raz?
Well, I do think, even when I said they were the top team, I'd say they were behind C9. but they're a consistently growing team, so that one's going to be a fun game. I think with my eyes would probably go towards FlyQuest versus Dignitas because of the bet. I don't want to lose. I'm going to be honest. I don't want to. I'm not good with spicy food. I'm going to put that out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
I
get
can eat
2
Mala
games, sorry.
spice, the tingly spice, but if it's anything near the type of spice that just burns your tongue to
Here,
existence.
Raz, I'm gonna do you a quick favor.
Okay.
Stop talking about the kind of spice you can and can't handle
Yeah, you're already giving
before
that
the
ammunition.
spice
Okay.
that you're going to have to endure has
Fair.
been determined.
Fair.
Okay?
Like I'm faithful. There might be a little bit of cope.
Do you have any idea how many producers are listening to us right now and they're all writing this down? Every single one of them.
Oh,
okay?
no.
You're screwed.
Damn.
Screwed now. You better hope
Habanero eating
FlyQuest
content.
delivers.
I'm surprised you didn't ask me for tomorrow's predictions. I thought I was going to just roll through them again.
Are you running it
definitely-
back opposite Raz all day?
I mean, why not?
Why not?
I'll double
At this
down. But I'm
point.
not even on the desk. It doesn't matter.
Double or
Keep it on.
nothing?
Yeah.
I'll give you the points. I'll give you the points for
double
today if you
points.
get them all right. But you have to get all 5 right tomorrow.
Nah, I've
Okay.
lost.
All right. Fair enough. All right. That's enough out of us here on Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 hour earlier for another day of LCS action. But for now, on behalf of myself, the casters, the entire Remote Broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you tomorrow for more LCS. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be good to each other. And good
I
night.
definitely can't eat hot Cheetos, guys. I can't do
Oh,
it.
you are. You're gonna get so much
Hello
worse.
and welcome. How dare he? Opposite Raz Nation?
Opposite Raz Nation. Yeah, I mean,
He's got a lot of backers now.
he was all 5 players. He was celebrating his guys. I'm hashtag Raz Nation as well, by the way. I'm about it. I think it's good. So, Jatt, we were friends. Not anymore. It's an Impact's here for more. Danny jumps in, finds the kill, chases in for more. Thank you for 3 extra kills. Leona goes down. John's left alone, flashes away. Oh, he may just live. A double kill in. Juki finds 2, and he's looking for number 3. Tactical kicked right in the range. A triple, and he's on it for more. Josecito is the big man on campus.
Hello, 1-2-3.
Okay, that's good.
Enemy
That's good.
top laner will move mid. He has power for Herald, better conditions.
Okay, actually, just mute him already. I don't like those comms.
Of course, he already 3v1 Abadaga. Your days are numbered. And that number is 0 and 1. First blood. Diving in for a bit more. They can't kill anyone though. It's 2 for nothing, and Han Sama will knock down another again. A double kill, a dive over the wall. That is going to be the clean ace
Fudge finds the back line to the TP, and lost is lost indeed. Ole tries to escape as Pride Stalker goes into the back line and finds a kill, but Cloud9's cleaning up the whole damn team. Double kill for Berserker. 3 dead for only the support of C9. The fight went exactly the way you would expect it to, and Baron's the reward. Neo and Biofrost, so much control down here. Oh,
no.
Kamehameha, hot damn. Blue takes a little bit of damage from the Super Mega Death Rocket, but Luger's stuck in the wrong place, and CLG is stuck in the wrong spot in this game. 6,000 gold lead, Baron buff, Ocean Soul, you name it, they got it.